say. But in what they call the New Testament, in Jesus, we find out that the real God, that is the real God who is, for us, the Son of Man. Anybody know what the Son of Man means? It's a heavy biblical term. It just may mean the human one. You think like, oh, what does that mean? Hey, we're talking about the character in the Old Testament. Jesus claimed to be the Son of Man who sat at God's right hand and at judgment got to co-judge peoples of the world. We're talking about that guy. And at the same time, when he's living with us, he is playing out the Isaiah, suffering servant, the one who identifies with the poor, doesn't beg for anything more than he needs, always sacrifice, and ultimately speaks truth to the powers, and is hung on a tree.
So
that's the hero.
Okay, because I see both sides of the coin with this. What is your proposed idea of if someone is in a situation of needing to defend themselves, what is your proposed idea of turning the other cheek? Because you don't just sit there and let them like beat you senseless, but then how do you turn the other cheek? That's I think where people struggle.
What about somebody being raped and they're defending themselves?
Like that's
Tell me, you're creating the most ugly picture. But the one being raped, I throw my body on him. I get him off. I fight him off. There are people in our house that demonstrate behavior that really needs to be addressed, and we address it, but we don't call the cops. That's all.
So for purposes of psychological abuse, we'll say that. How many times do you turn the other cheek before, you know what I mean?
If I knew someone was being abused, any human being being abused that I knew was being abused, I would try to help them. Any way I could. But I wouldn't go out and get a gun to defend them. I don't think we need guns anymore. I think it's crazy. I think this culture is crazy. But hey, we just don't need to stop on guns. There isn't anything that isn't tarnished. Anything human that isn't tarnished by the powers and principalities, as Paul would put it. And I figured out the powers and principalities for modern day world the same way it was in the first century is wealth, war, and empire. And we live in a nation that loves wealth, wins at war, and we're the empire. Wake up! That's not Jesus's people.
So by that claim, you're saying that you don't believe we need to have guns because people use them to kill other individuals and use them for homicides. The same thing's used with.
You know, just to stop. We have this collective we, and being a democracy gives us the right to say we. There's a we to this citizenship, and we have to speak for all of us. We, there's nothing in the New Testament that's a we for citizenship except for the we for citizenship of the kingdom of God. That's all the New Testament people. And the kingdom of God and New Testament people are the people who follow Jesus everywhere, anywhere, and at any given time, love as Jesus loved, and the kingdom exists. That is to say, there is no one city or land that's holy until people who are following Jesus get there and demonstrate what holiness is. And it ain't a creed. It ain't a collection of teachings. It's ethical behavior that was pretty clearly written in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and all you have to do is read the top lines and go, yeah, feed the hungry. If you ain't feeding the hungry, what's going on, folks? Somehow you ought to be doing that. Clothing the naked. Somehow your life ought to be doing that. Personally, if you're thinking about starting a life and want to have one of life of integrity and really struggle with these issues, the first thing I would tell you at your stage of life is lifestyle. If you can figure out how to live below the poverty line in collectives, you'll have a chance to be able to be free enough to do what's needed to confront the system and pay the price that the future will need so we can continue to be human. Because it's up for grabs. I mean, I come from You know what, mimeograph machines, whatever. You guys are facing the next 30 years with the whole issue of artificial intelligence. I'm glad I'm not gonna be here. It's crazy. And being a human being is gonna be far more important because it's gonna be a lost art. And I believe doing the works of mercy. And like, the other thing about Christianity, it did not solve the war problem. Hardly. And you know, for me to follow Jesus, I do not have to solve whether we need wars or not as a citizen. I need to come up with a practice where I can proactively put my life on the line for what I believe. The New Testament is a hero story, just like every country has their hero stories. And the heroes are often the people who go to battle and win or save the country or protect the homeland, and they die doing it. Those are valid human hero stories. Jesus is an anti-hero story. When he says to his followers, don't rely on wealth, war, and empire, love radically to the cross. That's what he's at. That's not a winning solution. It's really hard for Americans to understand that. I'm presenting a Jesus that's not necessarily today's winning solution, or it doesn't look like winning. It didn't look like winning in the first century. Let me tell you, dead Jews on a tree were as common as the flu. All right, another question. Lydia, high school senior, really? Do you think it's genocide to ever totally end? Do you think it's possible to ever totally end hunger and/or homelessness? It's part of the creed. I mean, it's my creed. When Jesus says in the New Testament, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, welcome the strangers. This is our walking orders. If we're not doing this, who are we? I get, yeah. And is it possible? Yes, of course it is. Are we doing it? Not nearly as well as we should. Not nearly as well as we should. All right, Emily. Frank Cordaro questions. First year graphic design student. What do you believe your impact is? How did you first get into activism? My impact after 45 years, 50 years, I don't, nothing really. I can't hardly anything worth a damn except what happened to the people I touched. That's about as far as my impact really is. The people I've touched, people I have touched, and one negative way I can put it this way: if I wasn't doing this Catholic worker thing I've been doing for the last 45 years, I would have went off and done something else in this culture. And with my outrageous egocentric attitudes and the way I want to take over and do things, I'd have done nothing good. Even if I coached a team and became a great coach, I would have been a crazy empire builder. I'm just grateful that I've been able to live a life that when I wake up, I get to do the works of mercy, and I don't have to do anything but put my clothes on and go down to the basement and start doing the work. All right, Hayden, 22-year-old nursing student, frequent traveler, and ex-hockey player. Question, what does Iowa need to do in order to become the best crop-producing state in the U.S.? Well, we ought to get rid of the rotten crops we got, like corn and soybeans. I mean, that's a two-dimensional corporate hogs and pigs. What we should do is get back to diversified farms like my grandfather used to do, and break down our food system in which we can have everybody fed in a local way. Build the food system from the local system up instead of from the top down. That's what we could do. We could give an alternative version to the World Food Prize. Louis B. Libby, yeah. What do you think about society today? About our generation? Oh, right, you've already heard me. I think society's going to hell. And I'm not going to speak about you guys' generation. I'm apologizing for my generation. How's that sound? And I wish you well. Oh, God, I wish you well. All right. Ethan, account student, or accounting. Okay, what are your thoughts on the growing... What is that? What are my thoughts of the growing atheist movement? The sooner the better. I hope atheism takes over this country for one reason only. That maybe us Christians will be shocked into saying, why don't we follow the real Jesus instead of the Jesus that's pro-rich, pro-war, pro-USA? Anything that can get us out of this stupor we're in, following the prince, what do they call it? Paul called them the powers and principalities. We're locked in, hooked up to them. Oh yeah, if the atheists could take over our place, that would be great. That's what I say. Okay. Ethan, accounting student. What are your thoughts on politicians using religion as an excuse to form politics that are hurtful towards many people and tarnishing society, point of view, or religion? If I would say that I don't think much of these people, and they go as far back, how far back? All the way back to Constantine, 3rd generation. When Constantine said, I become a Christian and the emperor, and he's the best killer in the world, we have already lost it. So, my beef isn't with politicians. My beef is with our bishops. Why not? I'm Catholic. And they're a den of thieves. Den of thieves. So are the Episcopalian leadership. So are the Presbyterians. Because they all are fighting these. I'm big on gender. We go to the bat for women's ordination. We're having a woman celebrate Mass at our house on Saturday mornings. Please come. We'd love to have you. We're doing it. She gets to do it one weekend, I get to do it another weekend. I'm all for it. But this isn't the real issue. We're at the precipice of human race. We may not survive in this manner for very long. I mean, a few more generations. It's pretty bleak. I really hate to put it down on you guys, but that's kind of like it is. So we're out here, and right now we need to deal with real issues. Gender issues are real issues. I wish, if I were the bishops, what they really should do is say, you know, we had good intentions, but we have not done a good job at teaching what we're trying to teach about sex. So for the next 3 years, we're not going to say anything about sex, and we're going to listen. Wouldn't you love to see the Catholic bishops say that? Like, we're blowing it. If we even have the truth like we say we do, we're still not doing it well. Because why don't people get it? Duh. That's what I would do, but there's a reason why I'm not a bishop. So, okay, all right. Julian, 19-year-old Jim Bro. Jim. Okay, Jim Bro. What male you... Oh, man. Help me with that.
What made you turn against the wolves with Christ?
Oh, Jesus. That was easy. What is your ultimate goal? To live out the kingdom of God as best I can. I would like to see the human race do a better job, but that's not on me. On me is to be faithful to what I believe to be the best human now that I can be. That is really important. Will, 19-year-old artist. Where do you see your beliefs come from? Was it in an event or situation that happened? Well, I've been pretty much talking about that. And yeah, it's in my life. I think everybody has moments in their life that are critical. And they only come to you when you know they'll come to you and you're ready for them. Sometimes they come to you and you're not ready for them, and then it takes a while to get ready for them. Oh, you all know this stuff. Or actually you don't. You're so damn young. At 73,